The Miami high school shooting. Is this a new kind of false flag operation? Coming up next on Deceptions of the Ages News. Hello everybody and welcome to Deceptions of the Ages News. Now, I would like to thank everybody for subscribing. We are getting so many subscribers every day and we are sending a message. I'm running for the United States Senate in Washington State, Congressional District 1. And if you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you did so, if you like this kind of video and this kind of information. So let's get on to today's topic. Now, we need to look very closely at more and more likely turning out to be another false flag operation with the Miami high school shooting in Florida. What, you say? False flag operation? How could that be? They saw the guy who did it. They arrested him. Everybody said that he did it. So how could it possibly be a false flag operation? Well, first of all, this is a new kind of false flag operation. But before we get into that, let's look at how this has all the earmarks of another kind of false flag operation that we've all seen before. And let's go back to the John F. Kennedy assassination and Lee Harvey Oswald, who said himself in the Dallas jail, "I am a patsy." Now, what is a patsy? A patsy is a guy or a gal who they find to take the blame, and this is the government, the FBI, the CIA, whatever. When they carry out an operation, somebody's got to pay for it, right? So what they do is they find somebody like Lee Harvey Oswald, a loner who would match all of these descriptions, and then they pinned everything on him, right? And anything that in their investigation that didn't point to Lee Harvey Oswald was, of course, obviously ignored. But not just the Kennedy assassination, the Oklahoma City bombing, they got, and we don't even know who Timothy McVeigh really was, but they never went after this Middle Eastern suspect that everybody saw when they were setting off the bomb or before they'd truck in front of the Oklahoma City courthouse. So then you get to 1996 and the Atlanta Olympics, and then a bomb went off in a crowd. And who did they blame? Some security guard, right? And so while they're looking at these people, the real killers are allowed to get away, and that's the purpose of having a patsy. Now, there's another common denominator in all of these things, and that is that there is something that is done socially after the operation. Kennedy was killed, and then we went off to Vietnam. The September 11th happened, and then we went off to fight two wars and spend billions of dollars. So all of these things, the FBI, the government, they know these people are here. They're conducting counterintelligence operations, and they always just seem to let them go. So how does this Miami shooting fit into all of that? The first thing we need to look at is the patsy. Who is the patsy? Well, the patsy has been outed now. According to the reports, and this is from the Broward County Sheriff, there was a guy named Scott Peterson. Now, what a handy name that is. Remember, Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson, different guy, hopefully, was a guy who killed his wife, Lacey, pregnant wife. So automatically, the name Scott Peterson just automatically invokes all of these images of somebody who's nefarious. Now, according to the reports, during the shooting, this individual, Scott Peterson, the school cop, sat and waited in, quote, a defensive position while the shooting was going on. Now, in response to this, Everybody who wasn't there is saying, oh, this guy, he's responsible. He's the one. If it wasn't for him, all of these kids wouldn't be dead. But let's look at this more realistically. First of all, what is this guy's job? He's a school cop. Is he really trained in the use of firearms, or is he trained in the use of conflict resolution, right? And being nice to kids and saying hi and being friendly. And you're asking this guy who is trained in these things and probably not in the best of shape to go in by himself against a shooter or shooters that he doesn't know anything about. Now, according to the Broward County Sheriff, these officers are told to immediately go in during a shooting and engage the suspect. Now, how many times has that happened? We will just go in and engage the shooter. But there have been a number of shootings ever since then, and in none of those cases did the police go in and engage the shooter. Now, at this particular shooting, this is a lone school cop, and every police show you have ever seen, they always do what? They call for backup, right? So who would have, I mean, people can say what they want, and this sheriff and people who are basically cowards have never been in this situation before. You're talking about life and death, and no are going to react in that situation, and studies have been done that people just won't engage. People don't want to kill other people, and people don't want to die. It's a natural thing. We call this poor guy a coward and say everything is his fault before we look at our other things. Is that what were his standing orders? Because I can almost guarantee you that no cop is going to be told to go charging in, chasing somebody in a situation where he doesn't know how many shooters there are, because especially these kids that fight it out on the streets, they know about setting up a security guy to shoot anybody that comes in to mess them up. And in fact, that's what they had done at Columbine. They had actually been prepared, and there were 2 shooters at Columbine. So we need to ask, where is the tape? Where is the dispatch recording? And what was transpiring when this guy was in his, quote, defensive position, which it sounds to me like what he was told to do. All right, so now the FBI has managed to get direction or the blame shifted off of them, at least briefly. But it's not just the FBI that failed, and this is where we need to look at this as a false flag operation. Because what we're seeing now in society with video games, with the animosity that is created by the social media, with the hatred of killing people, and especially towards whites, that is being promulgated in the media and everywhere you look. These racist people that come into this country, they use words like Nazis and KKK against normal, common, everyday working people. So we have a total society and especially in the media, of people who should probably be in jail for what they say. We have a government who continuously does these false flag operations. We are killing people every day. It's in the news. And it's just like the kid in the Christmas story who used the F word. Well, where the heck did he learn to kill people? It's in his video games. It's on his news. It's in the classroom. It's when he walks out into the street in Florida. And suddenly he gets a gun and starts killing people. And that's a big surprise. Well, let's just look at some other things too. Okay, so let's look at the interactions between the government and this kid. When the kid was 14 years old, he threw a tantrum and punched a hole in the wall because somebody took away his Xbox. So what does that mean? Does it mean that the kid is violent? Obviously. It also means that kid is playing violent video games. Flag 1. In 2016, the police were told that this guy planned to shoot up a school. And they didn't even investigate it because they didn't know which school. But they were showed this post on Instagram. Now this from a kid whose mother has died. He's living in a foster home. He's obviously got behavior problems, but everybody's just letting him go. Don't touch him. Don't do anything. Don't intervene. So when his mother died in 2017, he already had a collection of knives and a BB gun, and he told people he was going to shoot up a school. No flags there. So without going into each particular instance, between 2014 and 2018 Valentine's Day massacre, really? This kid had so many interactions. He had talked about suicide. He had talked about shooting up a school. He had done all of these things, and yet nobody intervened or even went and talked to the kid. Now, let's just look at our scenario here. The FBI had been informed about this kid. Broward County had been informed about this kid. He was going through, obviously because of his foster home after his mother died, he was in the auspices of Child Protective Services or some government agency there. Now, all of these people dropped the ball. And so they are trying to pin this blame on one poor school cop when all of these people should have notified somebody. The FBI was told they should have investigated. Nobody did anything, and now they want to take away our guns. See this pattern of shootings, guns, and then the government coming in and taking people's guns and doing whatever. But the other thing that you need to be concerned about now is that they are very much pushing, and if you look at Washington State, they actually elected an Indian woman who associates veterans with mental illness, right? So the first thing that they want to do, all the people that would fight, that have taken an oath to defend our Constitution, they want them all declared mentally unstable. And then they can take away their guns. And once you take away the guns of all the people that would fight your then you suddenly control the country. This is Deceptions of the Ages News. We'll see you next time.